I'm here with my presentation on ethanol. So what is ethanol? Ethanol is a renewable biofuel made from plant sugars. So corn and sugarcane are the two main plants that humans are using to farm ethanol. And so basically it's just the photosynthetic process in which we get the glucose byproduct, and then we ferment it, and then we get the ethanol. So yeah, that's where ethanol really is at the base. So where does it come from? It's grown from crops that go through the photosynthetic process, and humans found that sugarcane and corn are the two most optimal sources to use for ethanol usage. And so that's two of the main crops that are used. And then it requires sunlight, water, nutrients, and also arable land. So sunlight's in excess. Nutrients, this kind of goes hand in hand with arable land. So water and arable land are just mainly the two resources we need to provide. So it's not that much, not that costly, but it's extremely beneficial in the end for the reduced carbon footprint we have due to these processes. So these are the steps, kind of how to get ethanol. So first one is you mill the plants to release the sugars, let them go through the process. Then, you're able to release the glucose. And the glucose enters into the fermentation process where you add yeast, and then the yeast then ferments the glucose to be able to produce ethanol plus carbon dioxide. Obviously the carbon dioxide is just released. So then we're left with that ethanol. So the step 3 is the distillation, dehydration. So it's where you take the ethanol, it's distilled, and water is released from it a little bit. So it's kind of in that pure form of ethanol that we need. And then the last step, well, it's not really the last step, but the last kind of idea to kind of take away from this is that it really is just the cellular respiration process backwards. And so that's really how you're able to produce this ethanol. So where are we now with the ethanol? So it's widely available and blended into a lot of gasoline, so there is ethanol added to most of your gas. So cellulosic ethanol is in its early development, which is from crop waste. So we don't even really need to use the crops that could be going towards, human consumption. We can use the waste products and the scraps of crops to be able to produce this ethanol, which would be a lot more efficient and a lot more effective in the end. So ethanol and the carbon footprint, it reduces the carbon footprint by 40 to 60%. That is a huge step in our conservation efforts for the earth. And that's a great way to be able to kind of take back from some of the diesel and fossil fuels that we've been using in the past that have really kind of detrimented our environment. So the economy, U.S. ethanol industry contributes $40 billion annually. So it's not only effective for the environment, it benefits the environment, but it also boosts our economy, which is amazing. A lot of new jobs are produced as well. So how do we educate the public on ethanol? How do we get people on board with this new fuel that is able to, conserve the environment and make fossil fuel effects felt less? So promoted by groups like Renewable Fuels Association, they're able to kind of get the word about the renewable fuels out there. And then fuel labeling, so to kind of help keep consumers aware of what fuel they're actually putting into their cars and putting into their various motors. So where do we go from here? What's the next step? So is a viable transitional fuel, and we should be able to shift our focus towards the cellulosic ethanol, which is the ethanol that is created from plant waste. That would be a lot more effective. So if we keep striving for that cellulosic ethanol and just be able to use more of our resources to benefit the environment and kind of take a step back from the fossil fuels impacting the environment, I think ethanol is a great choice. It's very effective. It's very nature friendly. And those are my sources. Thank you, and gig 'em.